Hello and a very warm welcome viewers. You're watching Reset India with your host Kriti Mishra. Our show focuses on all the key areas where resetting, revamping or restructuring is required to boosting India's economic growth prospects. The Union Cabinet has approved the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy's proposal for implementation of the Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, National Program on High Efficiency Solar PV or Photo-Voltaic Modules for achieving manufacturing capacity in high-efficiency solar PV modules with an outlay of 4,500 crore rupees. Solar capacity addition presently depends largely upon imported solar PV cells and modules as the domestic manufacturing industry has limited operational capacities of solar PV cells and modules. The National Program on High-Efficiency Solar PV Modules will reduce import dependence in a strategic sector like electricity. It will also support the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. And for deeper insights, I'm joined by Mr. Amitesh Kumar Sinha, Joint Secretary, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, and Mr. P.K. Kheruka, Chairman, Borosil Renewables Limited. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, both of you. And before we commence our discussion, let's take a look at the expected benefits from the scheme. Additional 10,000 megawatt capacity of integrated solar PV manufacturing plants. Direct investment of around 17,200 crore in solar PV manufacturing projects. Demand of 17,500 crore over 5 years for balance of materials. Direct employment of about 30,000 and indirect employment of around 1,20,000 persons. Import substitution of around 17,500 crore every year. An impetus to research and development to achieve higher efficiency in solar PV modules. And let's go back to our guests now. Mr. Sinha, coming to you first. After several key sectors, now we have the PLI scheme for solar manufacturing of modules and cells. What does it mean for the indigenous industry? Your opening comments, sir.
In India, we are highly dependent on imports and mostly it is coming from China. So there are 4 stages of solar PV manufacturing. So starting from polysilicon, then the next stage is ingots and wafers. And we don't have any capacity in these 2 stages. Then the next stage is solar cells, where we have limited capacity of 2.5 gigawatt. And then the last stage is solar PV modules, which we use in our households and other solar utility scale projects. So we have roughly 9 to 10 gigawatt of capacity. For nameplate sake, somebody says that it is 15-16 gigawatt, but we consider it is a 9 to 10 gigawatt. So this PLI scheme is very, very essential for India to become Atmanirbhar because we are targeting fully integrated or partially integrated plant. When somebody will set up a fully integrated plant, it means that they will set up polysilicon manufacturing, wafer manufacturing, solar cell and module manufacturing, all 4 stages. Partially integrated plant means from wafers, ingots to solar cell and module. And at least they have to manufacture solar cell and module. So we are quite hopeful that 10,000 megawatt of fully or partially integrated plants will be set up in India.
All right, let me take that to Mr. Kheruka. Sir, what do you think of the PLI scheme? How would it help the indigenous industry?
Well, the industry really welcomes the scheme. We are grateful to the government for having given a comprehensive look at this sector, which has been dominated by imports from China. I believe that this scheme is going to definitely help a lot of entrepreneurs in India ramp up existing capacities or enter with new capacities. And I have no doubt that in the interaction going forward with members of industry, the ministry will iron out any small kinks that there might be to make sure that the ramp up from imports to domestically manufactured production is swift and smooth.
All right, Mr. Sinha, we understand that the manufacturers would be selected through a competitive bidding process. But just for the knowledge of our viewers, who is eligible to get the benefits under the scheme? What are the requirements?
So basically, we have set 3 parameters for selection of beneficiaries. On the basis of 2 parameters, we are assigning marks. And 3rd parameter is qualifying. So the qualifying parameter is minimum efficiency of modules. So in order to participate in this scheme, you have to commit for minimum 20% of efficiency with a temperature coefficient better than minus 0.4%, or 19.5% efficiency with a temperature coefficient better than minus 0.3%. So this is a qualifying criteria, and then we have two selection criteria for which you will give marks in order to select the beneficiary. One is extent of integration. So extent of integration means if you are setting a plant from polysilicon to wafer ingot to solar cell and module, then you will get full marks. It will be considered as a fully integrated plant. And in case you are promising a capacity, which is the second criteria of 4,000 megawatt or above, so that will be the second criteria, and full marks will be given for that. So the lesser the integration or lesser the capacity promised by the bidders, on the basis of that they will get less marks, and the highest marks getter will be selected for this PLI scheme.
All right, Mr. Kheruka, do you think this is a seamless process? Does that really simplify or ensures ease of doing business?
Well, it's an aggressive process. It's adventurous. It is dramatic. It requires a lot of interest from anybody who wants to participate in this. And I think if you want to get things done, then this is the way to go. I do believe that this would excite a lot of people to enter this arena, and you would need big players, and I think that is what the country needs to get started with solar on a large scale, which is meaningful. We are looking at $140 billion of outlay on solar in setting up 100 gigawatts of solar energy. So from that standpoint, I think we need to think big and act big.
Also, sir, I'd like to understand, what are the challenges for domestic manufacturers?
I think the challenges are that scales have not been of this size so far, and the entire concept of bringing in silicon production of silicon ingots and making wafers is a little bit challenging. And I hope that somebody rises to the occasion. This has traditionally been a high energy intensive and high capital expenditure arena. And I do believe that with this kind of scheme, they will be able to attract people who have the pockets and the capacity, the managerial capacity to pull it off. There has been some talk in the papers about Coal India going in for this, which would be very welcome, because they have a lot of space for energy, and they have the ability to deploy large funds, and they have land, etc., which can get it done. So all in all, I think we are all quite eagerly looking forward to this implementation.
Mr. Sinha, I'd like to understand, how do we address the challenges, as Mr. Kheruka pointed out?
So, in order to select beneficiaries, we have to make the process very transparent, and we are interacting with the industry. So any doubt which is coming to our notice, we are trying to clarify that, and we will make this process very easy, and it will be concluded within this quarter. By end of 30th June, we will try to close everything. As far as implementation part is concerned, I understand that in past the manufacturers were facing a lot of problem getting incentive or PLI or any kind of thing like that. So we will try to make it as simple as possible. We will sit with them, we will finalize the documents which is required, so that after implementation of the scheme, no new kind of requirement comes into the picture. For improving the ecosystem of manufacturing, you know that Government of India has taken various measures, including the notification, including imposition of basic customs duty from 1st April 2022. So MNRE has issued a notification after consulting Ministry of Finance, and this will be a very good kind of protection, because the Chinese imports were very cheap, and they may harm industry in future also, since we are trying to come up with and we are trying to set up manufacturing base. So they may lower their prices further. So this is a tariff wall or barrier which will protect our nascent industry. Secondly, we have introduced approved list of module manufacturers, which is for quality and reliability of modules, because modules have worked for 25 years. So we have listed out manufacturers in India who are already in the business of module manufacturing. And later on, whosoever will set up their plant, they will be included. So this is again giving a good amount of protection to domestic industry, though the foreigners are also eligible for this. But at least this will control the quality of material and will ensure reliability also. So these are the measures which we are taking, and in past also we have introduced domestic content requirement, where we were trying to incentivize manufacturing of solar cells and modules. So that is still running, and we will come up with new bids to further create demand in manufacturing sector.
All right, sir, you talked about China. Mr. Kheruka, we understand that China dominates the landscape of solar manufacturing. How do we make India Atmanirbhar in this particular realm?
See, anyone can dominate if they are subsidized, which is what is happening in China. They are subsidized, we are not. And the thing is that, for instance, when we look at certain costs of inputs, we have a much higher cost of input. Electricity, for instance, we are paying 8 rupees a unit. In Malaysia, the solar glass producer pays 3 rupees 40 paisa. That's 2.5 times we pay more. Then again, there's the question of natural gas, for instance, which is the primary fuel used to melt glass. In the case of natural gas, we are paying the cost of the imported cost, which is the international price. On top of that, there are certain expenses, which are distribution expenses, which are then charged by GAIL, for instance. And then there is a 6% GST on that, for which we do not get a set-off. So we are paying a normal price for fuel and for power, which people abroad don't do. There have been reports about people who have been getting land and buildings from the province at no cost, payable over 25 years, 4% per year. Half the salaries are paid by the government. And so people in India sometimes think that we are not competitive. I really differ from that. We are extremely competitive. And I think by the imposition of this duty, which the government is proposing on the production of modules and cells, we shall be able to overcome this extra cost that we have to pay. And I'm very hopeful that this is going to work out. And we should be seeing a very strong upsurge in domestic production of the entire module, including its components, as we
All
go
right,
forward.
let me take that to Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, he pointed out several impediments. How do you allay his concerns?
So actually, the benefits, the kind of benefits other government is giving, it is generally not happening in India, because the industry needs are common for all industries, and we cannot prefer one industry or other. So with this natural thing, we have to survive in the market. And I'm quite hopeful that our industry is quite capable. And with the help of new technology, particularly cutting edge technology, we will be able to beat them. And we believe that in wind manufacturing, India is the most competitive place. And now we are, after fulfilling our demand, we're exporting wind turbines to other part of the world. So in solar manufacturing also, I believe that in future we will see the same thing.
Also, Mr. Sinha, now that we have approval of over 60 solar cities and 50 solar parks, how are they performing? What has been the result?
So this solar park scheme is working well, though there is a certain delay, and around 40 gigawatt capacity was sanctioned. So 23 gigawatts capacity has already been in final stages, and more solar parks are under development. In Solar City, the earlier scheme was not very successful. Now we have again circulated a revised format in which we are asking each and every state to declare one city as a solar city, where all energy needs will be fulfilled by renewable energy, particularly solar. And we are telling them to take help of all schemes of MNRE and Government of India. So we are hopeful that states will rise to the occasion, and one model solar city will be developed in each state, will be showcased as a role model, and then further cities can be developed.
Absolutely, the result also depends on how the states perform. But Mr. Kheruka, according to International Energy Agency, it says that by 2040, India's solar output will match up to the coal-fired output. Do you think that is possible and the government is moving ahead in that direction?
The government is taking all the steps that it can, I think. We have to remember that we are bound across, we have so many boundaries, that there's a certain budget in the nation and they have to pay for so many people and so many things. And within the circumstances, the PLI scheme and other steps that they have taken have been a great boost to Indian manufacturing. Answering your other question, I believe that solar power is definitely the power of the future. You see, it can be brought in small components. So even if you are a farmer running a pump to excavate water from the irrigation canal or groundwater, you can set up a 5 kilowatt station using solar power to pump water out and irrigate your fields. And that is the beauty of solar power, that it is divisible. It can come down to very small wattages and as large as you like. There is no running cost. So for all these reasons, I believe solar power is definitely the power of the future. If you go and look at something like fossil fuel, if you were to set up a thermal power plant today, you would be paying anything like maybe perhaps 4 rupees a unit to make the energy, whereas in the case of solar power, it's 2 rupees. With even after considering the impact of these duties and so on, the increase in the price of electricity generated by solar power will not rise more than maybe 5-6 paisa per unit, which is very little. It's a very small price to pay to develop a very strong domestic manufacturing industry. And I think the government is on line with that, and we have a very strong industrial base in India, which is involved in the production of modules, cells, and other balance of materials which go into the production of modules. So in my company, for instance, we are already producing enough solar glass to make about 2.5 gigawatts worth of modules. We have one expansion which is currently underway, which will double this to 5 gigawatts, perhaps by June of next year. And we are actively considering setting up yet further capacity, which would take it up to maybe 10 gigawatts in the end of another 30 months, perhaps. And so I believe that we should be well on our way to becoming self-sufficient in the means for generation.
So you made an important point about solar farming and, of course, use of solar power in our farms. I'll take that to Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, how do we reap maximum benefits by harvesting solar power in our fields?
So you're asking about use of solar in farming?
Yes, sir. And in rural areas.
We have a very innovative and ambitious scheme in the form of PM Kusum. So the PM Kusum scheme is it has 3 components. One is putting up a small solar plants on barren land of farmers or other type of lands of farmers. Component B is to replace diesel pumps by solar pumps. And component C is to solarize already grid connected electrical pumps with solar pumps. So all the 3 components are having large and greater benefits for farmers. It will either save the money of farmers or it will increase the income of farmers. So we have already sanctioned around 10 gigawatt of the capacity right now. And roughly we have 30.8 gigawatt of capacity, which will be sanctioning in future. So altogether we have 36.8 gigawatt capacity in PM Kusum scheme. It has potential to totally change the landscape of farming in India. So totally we have a potential of 115 gigawatt in country, and around 1 lakh crore subsidy every year is being incurred by state governments. So if all the electrical pumps will be replaced by solar pumps, then the state government subsidy, which right now they are incurring, they will use they will use this money within 4 to 5 years. They will recover it, and after that, for next 20 years, 21 years, the total electricity will be free. So this is a very good scheme for the state governments also, and we are seeing a lot of response from them. And presently, we have only 35 lakhs pumps sanctioned under Component B and Component C of Kusum scheme. So going forward, once the allocation will be finished and we have exhausted all our sanction capacity or number of pumps, we'll see how to scale it up further.
Also, Mr. Sinha, talking about the entire renewable sector, of course, we've been talking about the target of 175 gigawatt, of course, and moving on, we are also talking about a capacity of 450 gigawatts. What's the way ahead, sir?
So we are right now on the track, and there are three different ways I see this. One is utility scale addition of capacity that is happening right now through the implementing agency of Government of India like SECI, NTPC and NHPC. Second is a farm sector that just I have explained you that total potential is 115 gigawatt. Third is distributed PV in the form of rooftops and other small scale applications. The fourth one, which is emerging right now, is hydrogen. So this hydrogen has a lot of potential in order to reduce carbon emission from industrial applications. It will also help in stabilizing grid by way of storage facility. So these are the four big pillars on which this 450 gigawatt will be, the target of 450 gigawatt will be achieved.
All right, sir. Point well taken. And before we end our conversation, closing comments from both my guests. Mr. Kheruka, building strong manufacturing ecosystem in India. Way ahead, sir. Your closing comments.
Well, my feeling, I'm feeling upbeat. The government is stepping in to take the lead in promoting manufacturers in this realm of solar power generation. And I feel that this is the place to be. This is really, in every sense, a sunrise industry. And going forward, I can see that the dream of the Prime Minister to solarize this country is moving forward with speed and efficiency. India will emerge as a major producer of solar equipment for the world. One small thing which I had not mentioned was that since we've been around for the last, now this is our 12th year of production, we have a lot of information coming in from other countries where solar power is also being promoted, the manufacturing of solar equipment. And they are all ready to import from India. India has a good image over there as a good quality producer of components. And I think it could become a very major earner of foreign exchange if we play our cards right.
Mr. Sinha, if we play our cards well?
I am confident. I am sure that we are playing our cards well. And solar will become a way of life in future.
All right. On that note, we are on the right track for solarizing our country. Thank you so much for joining us. So that's all we had for you in this edition of Reset India. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.